Hi, everybody. Janet Eichhorst here and Jill Renee Feeler. Welcome to episode 11. Hard to believe that we've hit 11, but here we are in the new year of 2025. Hi, Jill. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm fantastic. I'm
Happy New
really, really
Year.
happy New Year to everybody. I hope that we're all having a fantastic start to this. I don't know, I want to call it, I'm very optimistic generally, but I have a good feeling about this year, about the
Awesome.
possibilities and the potential for people.
Mm.
So, yeah, what about you?
I'm like you. I tend to be very optimistic about things. I don't do like New Year's resolutions. There's not really a ceremony or a vision board kind of thing that I do. But I just love that it's like I kind of appreciate that I give myself a fresh start every day. But I like the idea that I feel that kind of new beginnings energy in general with so many people this time of year, and I love that the freedom in that.
Hmm.
Yeah, but for 2025, I mean, I'm happy to give my take on some things I'm sort of
Oh,
predicting. Sometimes I tend to there can be a delayed reaction, where it can take a couple of years for some of the predictions to happen, but I'm pretty good at seeing trends overall. Yeah,
great.
but
I
I
would
don't think
love to.
that's a, oh, really?
I would love to hear that. Oh my gosh.
Okay, okay.
And let's just kind of intentionalize it a little bit, right?
Yeah.
So this is information to come in the energetics that can support everybody on their
hmm
personal project.
hmm
Projects, interesting projects, perspectives, whatever you want to personally fuel. So let's hear. I love to talk about trends because it is
Mm,
things happening, kind of in our world that we get
yeah.
to navigate in the best possible way.
Mm,
And I know that
yeah.
you're always coming from that heart-centered,
Mm.
yay for humanity. Let's make this the best that we can.
Yeah, that's very true. Well
So
said.
I'm right there with you. So let's talk about trends and how we can ride those waves and those sweet
Okay.
spots.
The biggest trend that I see, and I'm not a numerologist, but for anyone that knows anything about numerology, we're probably thinking about the 2025 and the nine number that it is. To
Mhm.
me, when I look at not necessarily the nine component to it, but overall, I'm sensing that 2025 will be a moment for a lot of us to hear broader narratives, be offered like this is what's happening in general, or news headlines, predictions, and have a truer sense of, but is that me?
Mm.
Right? Is that my truth? Do I agree with that overall sort of sensation or declaration or decision that there's more independence, that there's more personal reflection and personal choice involved as we are encountering anything in our outer world? That to me, one of the biggest assets we have in this reality is our individuality. We don't have to look at ourselves as much more than our one. And I celebrate that. Not everybody does, and I totally respect that some really want to be a part of a movement and we're all doing something together. And I just don't see it that way. So I'm looking to um, the glorified aspects of individual choice that might strike some people very in a very fresh way this year in 2025, that they feel that even more. It could be family related, it could be national politic related, um, it could be belief related, it could be anything.
Hmm. Oh my goodness. I love that. I was just having a conversation with some people about this,
Mm,
kind of talking current events. And I, especially because there's so much change happening in our outer world. I mean, you pick up, if you look at the news at all, which I don't follow the news, but I do know about things that are happening, and there's so much change. And I love this choice. That was a
mhm.
theme that I was considering myself lately. It's like, wow, personal choice points and how we really can have a world where we all get to live in the way that we want to live and still get along with each other. And that's kind of what I hear from, part of the what you're saying is that,
Hmm.
and we get to learn how to do that. And it's kind of like adulting, I want to say, in a way that perhaps we haven't as adults, um, honored and respected each other. And if we don't agree with somebody's decision or the way they go about it, still find a way to navigate it where I get honored and they get honored. And it's
Mm.
done in a respectful way. The phrase kindness matters really in all levels and all dimensions. So I
Mm.
think that's great. And really checking in to see, is this how I feel? Is it? Is it what I believe? Just that more awareness in a kind of inventory sort of way, awareness sort of way, paying attention sort of way, which is being more here and allowing more of me to be present and interact in my world. Fantastic. What else you got? You got another one?
Yeah, let's do it. Okay, let me get deeper on this one. Hang on. I was about to
Oh,
just start putting
go
words to it, and
deeper.
I felt the kind
Oh,
of
do it.
come on, come back here, hang on a
Mm.
minute. You don't have it all yet, Jill. Okay, hang on.
Oh yeah. Okay. I can feel you just going deeper. I love this.
Oh, this one might be interesting. Yeah. It's sometimes in the coming apart where we feel more of our wholeness. And I'm going to say that again because it's kind of like a Jesus parable in a way. It is
Mm,
sometimes in the coming apart where we feel more of our wholeness.
mm,
That seems contradictory to a lot of our brains because so many of us have thoughts and personal expectations that families will come together at some point, nations will come together at some point. Those that feel differently than we may feel or believe or think, that eventually we all have to come together. And not everybody has that expectation. And sometimes in the coming apart and the further separation, we actually feel more of the wholeness and our
mm,
wholeness.
mm,
So that is a prediction that there could be even more division with things that somebody expects was supposed to come together by now.
mm. Wow. There is so much in this one. Wow. Let's just all take a breath on that, shall we? Like, it's really, I don't know if you can hear my dog in the background, but she's barking. She has a response, her own response to this.
Hmm.
And coming apart. Mm, wow. And if there's any resistance anybody has to that process of coming apart, let's just take a deeper breath on that. Because in this moment, we are always here. I can't not be here unless I'm pretending I'm not,
Hmm.
which we do here, and that's fine.
Hmm.
But coming apart doesn't mean being less me, it means being more me
Amidst what is.
amidst what is. And so I feel with that, which has been one of the ongoing themes of the old structures and influences falling
Hmm.
away.
Hmm.
And I think probably everybody on our planet could agree on that one, that
Hmm.
we're all found undue influences or even personal overreactions to things, right? We got a big test of that last fall, right?
We
Like,
did with the election, yeah. And
how am I going to react?
I feel
Mm,
the theme of families here too.
mm,
Um, in my client work, family dynamics and family relationships, or desires for family, right? And some idealistic images of what their family once they have it will look like, right?
mm,
There are so many ways that we subconsciously write a script for another person. I
Mm,
need them to come back to me. I need to heal myself relative to that other person and maybe what they did to me or something like that. So there's a lot of unconscious scripting and writing and foretelling that we do that when we can really let ourselves be just real raw about, okay, how is somebody still disappointing you? How has that script not come into fruition yet? And let's just be real about that gap. What if that's okay? What if that prediction, what if that dream never happens? What if you never get your sorry? What if you never get their accountability? What if you never get their gentleness and their love and their acceptance of you? What if you can never accept them? There, that's a coming apart that has happened at some point in time. And if it goes further apart, basically what we are offering is a space for you to feel whole and complete amidst that brokenness. And there is so much growth and sovereignty and God's connection right in that brokenness because you're
mm,
not really broken. It's the promises that have been broken, it's the script that's been not followed, right? So it's a perception of it that skews us from feeling whole and complete,
mhm,
is my
mm,
experience. Yeah.
mhm. Yes, wow. Let's just go a little bit wider here and a little broader. Relationships, relational dynamics have been up for some time, and we are going to get more opportunities from my perspective to, I'll say, let them be healthier and create them in a more healthy dynamic.
That's awesome. I would love that for more people. Yeah.
And just coming through the holiday season, I want to put this out there because it was very apparent to me. And in my personal family of origin, my dad's in assisted living now, and so that's changed the whole dynamic. This is the first Christmas, and I don't go back to where I was born anyway, because I don't like to travel during the holidays. But so the traditions, I want to just bring up traditions. And I want to kind of put that on the table for people to examine because that's that same thing about expectations about people. And it's another kind of subset of that.
Mm.
And traditions can be great when everybody still agrees they want to participate in them. But a lot
Yeah.
of times there's change and I really want to support people in being who they are, not how I
Mm-hmm.
want them to be, right? Because that's what
Mm.
she's talking about there. And so when I do that and when I focus more on my wholeness and completeness and that level of authenticity, and it even gets down to what is love? Like how do I love? How do I allow myself to be loved? And how do I love? And my dog is teaching me so much about this because she is my dependent, right? And I also want to have a level of interdependence with her, where she gets to live the best dog life ever, which means when she goes to dog sitters, when I have other things going on, I want her to have the best sitters and have the best time and not be so connected in that dependency way
Mm.
where she can't feel free to really enjoy herself. And this is sort of a metaphor. It's my, nuclear family is my dog and I right now. So that's why I'm using it as an example. But
Perfect.
people have children, they have husbands, wives, extended family perhaps that lives with them. So the idea of healthy relationships where people can live authentically and be supported in that by the people that love them. Like, let's
Mm.
really do that. And then that kind of, to me, gets expanded out in all the dynamics, whether
Mm.
it's coworkers, whether it's neighbors, when I live in an apartment complex and when the kids go screaming down on their bike and the thing, and I was like, is that okay with me today? And I'm like, I love kid energy. But part of me, I can feel that like, no, it's
Hmm.
interfering. Like, it's not interfering. They're living.
Having a great
You know,
day. Yeah.
it's a silly example, but
I
you
love the
know.
example actually because it's so relatable and it's a practical application of a deeper idea, right?
Mhm.
Janet, when you were talking about support from a partner or support from any kind of partner, support from any support we're looking for from another person, I know for me, there's that idealistic side of me that can and has, hopefully less so now, um, created systems of disappointment is a term I'll use because I had an expectation of the support. Well, I need that I need it this way. I need the support that way. I need it, and this is very ironic because I will bring on camera I broke I'm right-handed and I broke, Janet already knows this. I broke my wrist. Supposedly, the x-ray shows a fracture. Anyway, so I had this beautiful techie kind of thing on. I don't know if I need surgery yet, but I don't think I will. Anyway, so cooking, we're doing Christmas dinner at my house, yeah, at our house yesterday. So I normally get support from my family, but there are so many ways that another version of me, probably 20 years ago, would have not been as quick to go, okay, can you guys set the table? Okay, can you guys do this? Jeff, can you do that? V, can you do that? And just really being more with no rhythm change for me. No, like, oh, you're such a loser, you can't do it yourself, or they're not going to do it the way that you would do it. They're not going to do it right. There's just again, there's a very idealized type A. If I want it done right, I need to do it myself. There's that version of Jill in there. And I have loved on her and softened her so much that I get to 2024 Christmas and I'm like, is this going to be okay? And all I saw when I looked at the dining room table for us hosting was how great it looked. There was my critical Jill, the editor, I wasn't even present. I was just so happy it was done. And the water glass is even filled. And I'm like, this is so good. So there is a softening that we can have in the version of support that we allow other people to be. And a pro move here, as Janet, when you were talking about, who they really are and who they're allowing themselves to be right now, you were touching on that in a very important way. The more real we can be with ourselves about what they are presently being, what they presently are, the more real we can be with ourselves about, so okay, they're clearly demonstrating that ability to be supportive. Wherever there is a gap in what you think you need from them, you have an opportunity.
Yeah.
Is that gap of support that you're not getting from someone that you care about or a coworker or whatever, is there,
Mhm.
what other ways are there to fill it, or can you adjust your expectations? So can your expectations be changed?
Mhm.
Can you adjust yourself to fill a gap that needs to be filled? Or what other ways are there? Because when we continuously get upset with somebody for not being what we think they should be, we're in a space of disappointment. We are separated from our source energy in a very real way. And we're also
Mhm.
separated from their source energy. So it's a recipe for feeling stuck and feeling drained energetically. And a lot of other, you can speak, I'm sure, more to the energetic consequences of that sort of idealizing or pressure that we put on another person. What does that look? I'm here. I want to hear anything you have to say about energetically and our electrical systems. In order, what does that do to us when we are unfairly expecting another person to be anything other than what they are?
Whew. Well, if you think about it, I'm here. Like right now, I'm here. I'm petting my dog because she's a little bit, I'm here, right? We're here doing this. Whenever I have those expectations, whenever I step out of myself, that really energetically, it's a stepping out. Can you feel that, everybody? Think about when you like, just
Mm,
practice this for a minute so we can determine when this is such an important thing to determine for ourselves.
mhm,
Expectations lead us out of ourselves,
mm,
right? Think about that. I have expectations. They should do this. I'm doing this. I'm moving outward. It's like, whoa.
mm,
And then no one's home on some level.
mm,
And where am I, source? I'm here. Oh, wow. So, everybody, however you've recently stepped out, just turn in. Like I have this visual, you know, wherever you're looking out, just for a moment, just turn those sensors in and see
mm.
what that feels like. Wow. Ooh, ooh, it tickles for me. It tickles a little bit. It feels so
Mm,
good. And then let that whole, your central column of light, your spine, your core,
mm,
let that be illuminated more. And literally imagine the sun illuminating that within. That those energetics, it's in every cell of your being, but it really runs. We can, the access point from our sacred heart. Wow. Okay, there we go.
mm,
Receive more of yourself and kind of solidify yourself in whatever form feels comfortable. Whether that feels like a pillar of light within you, so bright that things bounce off of it whenever it comes to you, that could, lead you astray or outside of yourself. Your column holds you because it's unlimited source frequency. That's you. And take a breath on that and let that breath kind of fill you more. And let that illuminate from within to flow out and cleanse and purify anything that needs to be cleansed, purified, reinforced,
mm.
alchemized, right? Transcended. Ooh, and let that go to your belief systems, which means your brain. I can feel it in people's shoulders, right there in the back of your shoulders. Just kind of wiggle them and maybe even open up your chest a little bit, right? Like just let
Mm,
all that, right? This is you right here. Oh, oh, there we
mm,
go. So sweet. Oh, it makes me want to cry when I feel that. Okay, and so the answer to that
mm,
is whenever you have an expectation, when there's a gap, I'm trying to make a connection that's not real, I want to say. It's not me being whole and complete connecting to another whole and complete,
mm.
right? It's me sacrificing and diminishing my light to try to connect to something that I fabricated and made up.
Oh, that felt so good, Janet. Thank you. I feel like I'm saying thank you for many, but I'm like, oh, that was so good. Mm,
Ooh, oh my goodness. So let's be that for now and ever. 2025 and beyond, like years, whatever, like,
hmm
and find ways for us to continually be that. That was a really good example too, that gap. I'm so glad you brought that up because
Oh, good.
I find that with myself. And we've talked about performance in here, about how some of the people in the spiritual community or even in the business community, like they perform, they're what they offer is a performance. So I've been looking at myself like, am I performing? Like during the
Mm,
holidays, was I performing? Or was just I letting myself be, and was there a gap there? Or was I letting like a more playful part of myself come forward and be here and not lose my authenticity in what I'm experiencing? Because I can find there's a gap. like I need to look a certain way, I need to do a certain thing, or and
Yeah.
this is all year round, but the holidays because there's a lot of performance during the holiday, right? Whether it's the perfect dinner, the perfect or the perfect whatever, so it's but that gap, that's another place where I saw a gap recently and I was really looking at that. Where is there a gap where I am like, whoa, I don't want to leave myself
Hmm.
ever.
The other little hook that people get tripped up on quite often in relationships improving, including your relationship with yourself, right? Is this idea that it's supposed to be another way, which is just a different set of words for what we're already talking about, right? But again, what the message one of the messages that came up in terms of a prediction is that in the further separation, there is a bigger opportunity for the wholeness. So we can actually let whatever feels out of order, whatever feels separate, or it's not supposed to be that way. Another person isn't supposed to be what they are. We aren't supposed to be like we are. That is a story, a fabrication, to use your perfect word. It's a fabrication that we have permission to let go of.
Mm.
One of the most exciting things I have felt from my team was when they said, you only get to be you. And there was so much freedom in that. And then I also then heard it as you only have to be you. So you don't get to be anyone else but you. And you also don't have to be anyone else but you, right? So that to me was so this it sounds so simple, and yet I can imagine there are some people hearing it going, no, we're all one. This is literally the antithetical theory to we are all one. Here we get to be ones. And given how this reality was created, how this reality was designed, how we can literally witness it operate, there is freedom in the idea that we are all ones.
Mhm. Wow, this
and
is
and hold onto your heart with that one, because for any of us that have been hanging on to this fabricated idea that it's supposed to be different than it is, or we are supposed to be different than we are, we're literally offering you a deluge of God's love for
Mhm.
that part of you, for like water on sugar, just melting that storyline, because it is keeping us from the wholeness and the connection that we crave.
Mhm. Yes, completely agree. I love that because in my wholeness, in my oneness,
Mm-hmm.
that's where the greater oneness comes from. When I
Yes.
fully relax into me-ness, the fractal of source, when all think about it, source kind of fractalized. And when all those fractals fill in, we are one at the same time of being our full fractal. And we can't get there without filling out our slice of the pie.
Yeah.
It's a transcendent experience and it's an experience. Like we can
Mm-hmm.
talk about it forever, but
Mm-hmm.
until anyone allows themselves, gives themselves that permission, allows that unconditional, unlimited love to melt enough of whatever the stuff is that might be in the way, we can't get there, right?
Yes.
It doesn't have to hurt. It's more of an allowance.
Mm-hmm.
It does require a little bit of, I want to say, working with the mind, because it's never a power over dynamic, and it does. the unconscious and the subconscious stuff, right? That can all be transcended much more easily in that allowance, that true surrender, not in a less than way, in a wow, I am source and source is more than I thought it was.
Mhm.
Let me let it work its magic with me, personally, me, and let everything else go and see what happens. So, and the choice comes from that. You know, those inspirational moments, those brilliant ideas about perhaps it's what I wear for the day, what I make for dinner, or in my business environment, or where I want to go on vacation, or I mean, it's unlimited,
Mhm.
literally, how we can use that source pulse that flows through us as us in new ways. It's like, yeah, it's really, really good. So I just wanted to, because this is something that floated out for me. I think last night I was laying in bed. This idea that we can have so many experiences here on planet Earth, and they literally can look like almost reincarnations
Mhm.
because there are chapters and completely different experiences that we can have if we want to. And sometimes those elicit a fear response or a belief or an unconscious holding back. And I just really invite people and encourage them to pay attention when you get this idea and you get this, like, wow, where you can change directions, literally, about what you're doing, how you're living. And sometimes people think that means that I'm gonna have to, run away, ditch my family, divorce my partner. It's like it doesn't
Move,
necessarily
moving
move.
tracks, moving boxes. Yeah,
Yeah.
this,
It's like, hang
yeah.
on a second. Why don't you let yourself show yourself what that can look like without putting expectations on that idea
Hmm.
before I even get it a chance, give it a chance to really
So big.
nurture and, feed it and be with it and explore it. Because this is where we allow that ingenuity of source
Hmm.
to really invite. And it's a step back and let's play here more than get her
Yeah.
done.
I would love to unpack a little bit more the awesomeness that you just said right there. Okay. So the brain, when somebody isn't, when you, and I'm just kind of speaking to the audience here, when you guys aren't feeling, when you aren't feeling whole and complete, when you aren't feeling like you're what's supposed to be, or where you're supposed to be, there is this, the thoughts, the brain kicks in and goes, oh, well, and it goes to a very 3D level of a who, what, where, how, in terms of tangible things. Okay. The most radical and revolutionary change available to you is not where you live. It's not who you live with or don't live with. It's not how, what dollars are on your bank account. It is your thoughts and your beliefs about who and what you are and what the opportunity is here. And what else could you be in a wondering way that, like we did in episode 9 about growth and the outside edge of growth, that is the free, by the way, it's absolutely free possibility for letting yourself feel the realness that you do get a fresh start every single moment and breath of your life. This, the brain may not like it because the brain goes, oh, no, I'm still going to be in Akron, Ohio, Jill. Well, maybe Akron, Ohio isn't the problem, right? Maybe if you keep chasing a destination for you to feel the way you're idealizing, fabricating that you're supposed to be feel. None of that is actually the real issue. The real opportunity, and I would say solution, is completely internal to you. So there could be a part of you trivializing this podcast series, but what we are doing, literally, as the galactic shaman that Janet and I each are in this series, is offering you the most radical change you might be exactly seeking. That's huge. So I know for myself, and Janet, I'm curious about you too. I have felt through the curiosity and the wonderment, and maybe I don't have to be a controlling type A, pretty unlikable person on Christmas, right? I've created probably 5 incarnations of my Jill, and I turned 55 in 2025. I That wasn't handed to me, that wasn't forced upon me. That wasn't because God whacked me over the head with a 2x4, like, no. It was just me going, I didn't really like myself today. I want to like myself. I want to be a version that I like to be. I don't like it when my thoughts are like this. I don't like it when I ask when my children were younger to make their bed, and the first thing my Jill was thinking of is they didn't do it right. Did I teach them nothing? That wasn't a bigger part of me, but it was a powerful sliver in me that I didn't like, right? So I got curious about, I wonder if there's another set of thoughts I can have. And maybe I do want to do another lesson on bed making one day, but not in a critical, you little shit. I mean, which my thoughts don't go there, but just like, there might be a tidier way to make your bed. Let me show you how. You know what I mean? So those sound like little tiny things, but those little tiny things in our lives, the little tiny things that we don't like about ourselves, are things that we stockpile, and they start to accumulate. And then they start to make little baby things about ourselves that we also don't like, right? And it becomes a system of discontentment with what we are, completely oblivious to the fresh starts, new thoughts, literally better beliefs that we can have that support us in being a transformed version of ourselves, that our loved ones, our family, our friends, our coworkers, they don't even remember the kind of less than likable or less than enjoyable or less than fun or less than great version of you that you were 2 months ago. Once you present by making, through sometimes trial and error, just through experimentation, a version of you, the people around you, they will quickly forget a version of you that was less than what you are now because they're so happy with what you are now. So you letting it go is the only letting go that actually needs to happen. It's it's so free. It's so good.
It's so transcendent. That is exactly
Yes,
I want to
thank you.
use. So transcendent. And I want to just clarify a couple things.
Mm,
The thought and the thinking, I want to throw out divine mind,
mm,
right? Divine mind. We have way, way different versions of our mind and the way we think and the way that we can use our what we're wired to use here, our bodies and our energetic components, I'll say, right? But just think about you could use source mind, divine mind, and that's very much connected to divine heart and pure source. And I also want to put in divine body. Right? That is like the trifecta of transcendence right
mm.
there. We don't want to do it in the higher realms and keep it in the higher realms. We want to do
No.
it in this realm, right?
Now, with exactly
With
what you
heart,
are.
with love, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
kind of that gusto and love of life. And I just had this vision of just what happens when I'm with somebody, with the bed making example. How amazing it would be if you just sat there with so much love in your heart for your child as they made their bed, you know? And even if you're not watching them do it, when you look at it, you're just holding such love for them, for where they are on their evolutionary process
Yes.
and checking out their style. There's different styles of bed making, right? Versus, there's places where with children or people that are dependent on us, we get to make stands, right? And there's other ways it's like, wow, let's let that one be free and see what happens with it, right? And again, it's that transcendent nature of not being stuck in anything that limits. I want to say joy, enjoyability, likability.
Hmm.
That's true too, right? It's like, wow,
It's
transcendent bed
huge.
making.
As if it matters, right? Oh my
Like,
gosh,
no,
Jill, get over yourself. It's a bed,
it's such a metaphor.
Ah,
It's the metaphor
yeah,
you're right.
it is.
And
It is.
and the other thing I wanted to say, because it just popped up again, I just remembered what I had thought I wanted to say. It's that when I get that idea that this doesn't matter, like stop right there. When I say stop right
Hmm.
there and just see if it's a real it doesn't matter or if I'm just justifying something that I don't want to do. Like
I don't
just
want to
check it.
face. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Hmm.
Because sometimes those are the moments where I rationalize walking into the newness in completely ingenious ways of my own creative abilities.
Hmm.
Nah, I'll let that one go. I mean, I've perfected that. I get these great ideas and I don't. Sometimes I was like,
Hmm.
man, let me take those off the shelf because those are really good ideas, right?
Yeah.
So it doesn't check it out. Just a brief little pause and say, oh, does that one really matter? Or, like, what am I doing here? What am I
Mm.
real? That
Oh,
right
it's
there.
so big.
It would change everything in your life because that's how you allow the source to move through you as you, like in a positive, real
Hmm.
way, versus based on unconscious patterns, based on belief systems that are outdated, based on, I don't know, what my, great grandmother thought about bed making, like whatever, which isn't compatible with my version, right? Like
Hmm.
whatever it is, right? A bed making example.
Janet, when you were talking about the divine mind and the divine heart and that sort of thing, I've come across enough people in the community that I've witnessed energetically that they put that as, and it relates so perfectly to what we've talked about so far. When they hear that, they idealize it and put it outside of themselves, divine mind, divine heart. And I just want to just offer the kind of footnote for anyone that might be doing that and you might not be realizing it. When Janet was saying divine mind, divine heart, God's love, etc., we mean it as something you have within you. And you're going to allow yourself or grab onto that to access what you already have and really what you already are in a way. We just may not be utilizing it because we're compressed and tight in our energy field and focused on fixing another person or trying to get perfect at ourselves, which is, in my view now, not even the goal. But we can be such a better version of ourselves by actually going about the entire process in a better way.
Thank you for pointing that out. Don't let there be a gap there.
Mm. It's not outside of you. It's not in the future. It's not external to who and what you are. Everything that you described, Janet, is literally within, totally accessible, was always accessible, is available to everybody, no matter what they're currently being or demonstrating or creating in the world. We all have that. That is the God root. That is the God energy that you can't have life without, you guys. It's just that in this reality, because we have the option and the system it is designed to literally be our ones, we can do all of these things and create a version of ourselves that's completely acting as if it's separated from all of that.
Mhm.
transcendent, divine, pure, just amazing, glorified kind of version of ourselves. That's so fascinating that this world allows for that, and we make it so much harder than it is. And that's one of our goals, you guys, with this podcast series, is to make your transcendence easier, to make your access to God simpler, faster, and more effective. Okay, I use the word God. You guys already know that about me. To me, that's what it is. I'm not aversive to that language.
Mhm.
But use whatever word you would for something that is more pure, more loving, more wise, and more complete. To me,
Mhm.
that's God.
Mhm. Yes, the difference between idealism and realism,
Mm,
because that goes all the way down to the physicalized. When I look at how when we're aligned energetically,
mm-hmm,
that goes all the way down to the most physicalized version of ourselves. If we want to create in this world, we're in our physical bodies.
mm.
And that's why, I practice Qigong and it talks about divine mind, divine heart, divine body.
Okay.
And those are kind of like energetic anchor points, you could
Mm,
say. And to me, there are points to check in. It's like, oh, am I in my energetic body? Because if I want to, physicalize here, I get to do it through the body. And is that completely aligned? So that is the divine aspect of aligning all of us here.
mm,
And that's dimensional too,
mm-hmm. Yeah,
for the
definitely.
experience of yourself. I mean, I could like line it all up. Oh my gosh, that's so good. Ah, what a fun time. I think it's time for us
We're
to
wrapping
wrap up.
up. Yeah, I think so too. Thank you so
Oh,
much, everybody, for being here. Janet, I am so glad that we're doing this series. I can't even tell you. And I feel like we're getting an even better rhythm about it. And I'm so used to monologues and doing things myself. So I always want to apologize. And I'm like, wait, I have another idea. I will always have another idea. So I apologize if I'm always like, and this, and this, and this. I am so glad that we're doing this together. And what I learn something every time we meet from you, and a different way of looking at things, and a different growth opportunity, and a different perception, and a different layer of wisdom that is just so useful. So thank you for that.
yeah. Thank you, Jill. For me too. And I do see that we are building. There's this, container of the podcast that we keep exploring and
Hmm.
building. And so there's much more here for people to really use very practically. So I
Hmm.
love that. And so thank you, Jill. And thank you, everybody, for listening, for watching. And I do find encouragement from comments and
I do
feedback.
too.
So as Jill has said, I was like, I do really like that because, this is about providing something for people to help them have a better experience here. So you share that, and it's like, yeah.
That's so good. I love you guys. Thank you so much for being here, and Happy New Year. Hopefully, you're allowing yourself to let 2025 be even more impactful and even more useful and supportive to the amazing light and love and compassion and insight and wisdom that you are.
Yes. Thanks, everybody. Till next time.